Hi.
Archie, how are you today?
Good.
Great. So we are starting the third part of this book tonight. We are on chapter 8. We just had a chapter where 4 of the kids were back in the Minecraft world. Poe was not with them because he was playing basketball. But in the Minecraft world, they were exploring in the ocean, seeing dolphins, checking out the coral, and they noticed that some mystery person had come to their kind of home base, and instead of taking something, had left them some new supplies, such as some more water-breathing potion and some of that scute, or that turtle, I guess they say it's dropped by baby turtles, and it can be used to make a helmet that will let you hold your breath while underwater. So some things that would be useful for them. They have no idea who this mystery person is, but we think maybe it's what happened to that missing sixth VR headset that we learned about near the beginning of the story. So in chapter 8, you know, I love looking at the titles of the chapters. I also can already tell there is some delay tonight. So when I move it on my iPad, it takes maybe 2 seconds before it moves on the computer for us to see. So we will try our best. The title of this chapter is called Scientific Success, Awkward Personal Moments. An awkward moment is a moment that feels a little uncomfortable and we don't really know what to say. But success sounds great. Success is when things work out the way we want them to. If it is scientific success, I wonder if that means that we are back in the science lab and that one of the science experiments is working well. Let's see. By Monday, Harper and Theo's coral had already started to grow. It's incredible, Harper said. She double-checked their log. We will see a look at their log on the next page. If it keeps growing at this rate, our coral will be ready for ocean transport in a few weeks. So here's Harper and Theo looking at their aquarium with the coral growing. Of course, I put a few pieces of coral here for us to see to add a little bit of color because the drawings are black and white, but there's the drawing of the coral growing in their aquarium. So here's a look at their log. On their log, they are keeping track of what they observe every day. They are taking measurements. They are probably checking the temperature of the water, maybe the pH of the water, and maybe they are taking some measurements to see how big is the coral and how many pieces of coral do they see. On this clipboard, we see something that looks like this, and it has columns. These are columns. And it has rows. The rows go this way. And when we have something with columns and rows, and we can put information in it, we call it a table. And so they are filling out this table every day when they check their aquarium and see how the coral is doing. They call this their log. A log is like keeping a report of what you notice every day or every time you check the experiment. Although they had started with a single piece of coral, Doc had asked them to break the coral into smaller pieces. She had explained that breaking the coral would cause it to grow faster. Some of the pieces had only grown a couple of millimeters. That's a tiny little bit. Some had grown by centimeters, 10 millimeters in a centimeter. I wonder how many millimeters are in a meter. 1,000 millimeters are in a meter. And I wonder how many centimeters are in, there's 100 centimeters in a meter. Some had grown by centimeters. So 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. And we would need 1,000 millimeters or 100 centimeters to make 1 meter. That is just a little bit longer than a yard. But they were all growing. Theo looked around at his classmates' aquariums. Our samples are definitely doing the best. He grinned shyly. Not that it's a competition. This part here is kind of funny. Theo and Harper are pretty excited that their coral is growing faster and bigger than everyone else's coral. And so they kind of feel, at least Theo feels, a little bit like they're winning. But then he says, with a smile on his face, he says, not that it's a competition or anything. Well, it's funny because it's not a competition. This is not gym class. They're not at track and field races. There's no prize for whose coral grows the fastest. But they're very excited that their coral is growing the fastest. And so I think it makes them feel almost like they are winning a competition. So when he says, not that it's a competition or anything, he kind of is sending, it kind of gives us the message that, well, actually, he is kind of looking at it that way a little bit. And then Harper said, right, said Harper. Then she grinned back. But that is pretty cool. And you can see I circled is and reminded us that it is in italics so that when we read it, we would kind of stretch out the word and say, but that is pretty cool. Harper snuck a peek at a neighboring aquarium. Theo was right. Not everyone was having the same success. She made sure to write down the exact temperature of their water. They also recorded the pH level and the salinity. The salinity means how much salt. If their coral continued to do well, those numbers would be important to scientists all over the world, because they would be able to say, we did an experiment in our science class and every aquarium had different conditions in the water, different temperature, different pH, different salinity. And our aquarium did the best, the coral grew the best. So the conditions in our aquarium are perfect for coral. You can learn from that. So make sure that if you are growing coral, you use the same temperature, pH, and salinity for your water that we are using in our aquarium. So she is really excited about that. That is making a difference in science. That is when your research or your experiment can have a conclusion that can help other people. Hey, Theo said, are you playing Minecraft after school today? Harper froze, kind of like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? So she says, Why? She doesn't answer yes or no, right? She asked. Theo shrugged, kind of like, I don't know. He says, isn't that what you and your friends do in the computer lab after school? I saw you go in there every day last week. My locker's right there. Oh, Harper said. Yeah, we play Minecraft and stuff. And Theo says, I'm a gamer too, he said. I've put some of my builds online. You should check them out. Yeah, Harper said. I definitely will. Definitely. Here comes that awkward moment. I don't know. Maybe our class is just over. We've hit a red screen. Oh, it's back. I have no idea where we are. That was what we call an awkward moment. I planned it on purpose just to teach you the word awkward. An awkward silence followed. This is a moment or a short period of time where they are not feeling comfortable. They don't know what to say. Harper had a feeling Theo was waiting for an invitation to play Minecraft with her and her friends, right? He was like, hey, don't you guys play Minecraft after school every day? Hint, hint. I'm a great gamer. I can do great Minecraft things. Hint, hint. Pause. Nobody says anything. He's thinking, come on, time to invite me to join you. And she's thinking, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Well, she couldn't bring someone new into the group, could she? For one thing, they didn't have an extra headset. It was missing, remember? For another, there was real danger in that virtual world. She had felt it when that creeper had exploded. How could she put someone else in harm's way? But I think mostly she felt that a decision like that needs to be made by the whole group and not by just her by herself, right? The other four.
But she forgot to feed the class pet.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next. Here it is, Bear and Sweet Cheeks. Oh, Harper said, I totally forgot. I was supposed to refill Bear and Sweet Cheeks water today. Well, that wasn't technically true, but Harper felt more and more awkward the longer the silence lasted. She didn't know what to say. And so the class hamster could always use fresh water. It was her excuse to say, oh, I have something else I need to do. Sorry, it's my job. I need to take care of the hamster. Gotta go. And then she doesn't have to feel that awkward silence anymore with Theo standing there waiting for an invitation to play Minecraft with them, and her not feeling comfortable with this conversation and not knowing what to say. Well, she took her time with the task. So she went very slowly. You know, maybe she talks to Bear and Sweet Cheeks, and maybe she cleans the cage a little bit. And, you know, she takes as much time as she can. She was still at the hamster cage when the bell rang and students started filing out of the classroom. It's like, phew, got out of that awkward moment. When she walked back to her table, Theo was already gone. She felt guilty. Guilty is when you feel like maybe you did something that you shouldn't have done, or maybe you said something that you shouldn't have said, or maybe you didn't do something that you thought you should do. So you're not sure that you should feel very good about yourself. So you're feeling guilty. She didn't like keeping secrets from anyone, but the idea of inviting someone new into their special group would have to be discussed by everyone. So she made a good choice. As she put her books into her backpack, she noticed something strange. It looked like a piece of coral was missing from their aquarium. Dun, 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 dun. So I put a pink box around this sentence, and the author made it bold because we both think it's very important. I have just lost Archie. Oh, he's back. Hi.
Hi.
So a piece of coral was missing from their aquarium. That is what it looked like to Harper. She said, "That can't be," she thought. Now, here the italics are because she's thinking. She's not saying these words out loud. But Theo had their logbook, so she couldn't double check. Their logbook would tell her exactly how many pieces of coral should be in the aquarium. But he has it, so she doesn't know for sure. But she's pretty sure there's a piece of coral missing. She'd have to look into it tomorrow. Chapter 9. Where's the referee? Because that fashion is totally out of bounds. So here the author is trying to be funny. The referee is the person in a basketball game or a baseball game or a football game or a soccer game who is in charge of making sure that everyone is following the rules. And if the referee sees that someone broke a rule, or if the soccer ball went out of bounds, which means, you know, you might have your soccer field like this, but if someone kicked the ball, so it went out of the field, then that is called out of bounds, and the referee will blow his whistle, and then the other team will get the ball. But here they're saying the fashion is totally out of bounds. The fashion would be what you are wearing. You know, maybe your clothes, or maybe a necklace, or, you know, earrings, or something in your hair. It's a scarf. It's what you are wearing. And so they're saying, boy, something that someone is wearing is out of bounds. Well, that doesn't really make sense. Out of bounds means kind of breaking a rule or not good. So we'll have to see what they mean by that. Although it is going to have something to do with this picture right here, which looks a little bit like a necklace. So remember that Poe, when he is in the real world, he is in a wheelchair and he plays basketball. Basketball was taking more and more of Poe's time, so he's missing some of the Minecraft time. Poe played on a mixed ability team. That meant every player on his team used a wheelchair during practice and games, even though some of his teammates didn't use wheelchairs otherwise. Woodsward was one of several schools in the state with a mixed ability team. So Poe got to travel to nearby cities for weekend games. Poe liked being on a team. In fact, he was the star player, but it didn't leave much time for trying other things. He worried that he would let his teammates down if he took time away from basketball to be in the school play or run for class president or swoosh. Poe sank another basket from the three-point line. His teammates all cheered, and Poe forgot his worries for a moment. He was happy to be right where he was. Practice ended a few minutes later. Poe checked the time and saw that it was once again too late to join the Minecraft crew. They would all have disconnected by the time he got to the lab. But if he hurried, he might get to hear about what he'd missed. Poe looked over at his teammate Ricky. A flash of color caught Poe's eye. Ricky was wearing a necklace. That wasn't too unusual. While nobody was allowed to wear jewelry during a game, the rules were less strict at practice. And they're not having a game, they're having a practice. But Poe could swear he'd seen the necklace before. Not in a jewelry case, but in an aquarium. "Hey, Ricky," he said, "where did you get that necklace?" Ricky smiled. "You like it?" "Sure," Poe said, starting to get a bad feeling. "But that's coral, isn't it?" Here he's talking to his friend Ricky. "It sure is," Ricky said. "I'm from Puerto Rico, so it's like a little piece of home. I bought it from a kid in my math class." Poe frowned. He couldn't be sure, but it looked just like a piece of coral from Doc's experiment. But why would anyone sell off a piece of their science project? He wanted to ask for the seller's name, but their conversation had drawn attention. Several of their teammates came over to admire Ricky's jewelry. What do you think about this?
I think Vicky just steal the coral from what's its name?
Harper?
Yeah.
From Harper and Theo's aquarium?
Yeah.
Well, it is definitely a mystery. A mystery is when we have a question and we don't know the answer for sure. But we will be looking to solve that mystery and figure out that question. But for now, we get to say,
so long.
Cheddar Chip.
Goodbye.
Bye.